There's no doubt that for almost 2 years now, COVID has cast a huge spell on Albertans, a very fearful spell, mainly because it's been such a deadly disease. But there's some new statistics out in Alberta today, shared by Premier Jason Kenney on Facebook last night, that you're going to find shocking, but maybe shocking in a good way. They've been studying how Omicron is spreading in Alberta. And as Dina Hinshaw, our top doctor, said on Monday, as high as the case counts are, the official case counts are, she estimates they're about 10 times higher in the general population. So right now the case counts show roughly 58,000 Albertans have COVID right now, which is an all-time high, more than double the previous high. So if you times that by 10, it looks like about 600,000 Albertans have COVID right now. 600,000. How is that playing out in the hospitals? Well, they've been looking at how the different variants are spreading in the hospital population. Right now, there's 708 Albertans who are in hospital with COVID. That doesn't mean they're there because of COVID, but they're there with COVID. This is an important distinction because in other jurisdictions like Ontario and New York, they're finding about half the people in the hospital with COVID aren't there because of COVID. They just have a mild case or asymptomatic case of COVID. They're there for some other reason. So they're still digging in Alberta to find out what those exact numbers are. But they have them for the Omicron variant. And what they found is of the 708 Albertans in the hospital with COVID, 163 of them are there with Omicron. So as much as Omicron seems to have caused this massive explosion in case counts in Alberta, with as many as, more than, safe to say, probably more than 500,000 Albertans with Omicron right now, there's only 163 with Omicron in the hospitals. And of those, just 40% of them, 66 are there because of Omicron. The Premier said AHS data is showing. So again, more than 500,000 Albertans with Omicron, but just 66 in our hospitals because of Omicron. In ICU, there's 14 there with Omicron and 11 because of Omicron. So again, out of 500,000, more than 500,000 Albertans who have the Omicron virus, there's 11 in the ICU because of Omicron. The other variants, though, are still causing a lot of harm, much more harm than the Omicron is. This leaves 66 Albertans in the hospital because of in the ICU because of other variants, and 545 in the ICU because of other variants. And, we know in the ICU, Kenny said last week, 70% of those people are unvaccinated. So the other variants still pose a real risk, especially to unvaccinated Albertans. But that data on the Omicron is encouraging, I think. And it leads me to believe Tom Frieden, who was the director of the Centers for Disease Control in the United States, he's saying that the Omicron is playing out very much like influenza. And I think that these numbers in Alberta align with Frieden's description. So as Omicron takes over as the main variant, this is what we're going to see. It looks like extremely high case counts. But in terms of people putting in the hospital, Omicron putting people in the hospital or in the ICU, this does seem to be playing out like a flu season.